1, 2, 3.
Hello, Vlad. Can you hear me?
Hi, Stephen. Yes, I
There
can.
you go. Good evening to you.
Good evening to you too.
How are things in India today?
Today is a nice day and not so hot. And well, it's a night now, 20 to 30. It's 10.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's very nice. It was nice days. And a lot of mosquitoes, of course. But otherwise, it's quite nice.
Oh gosh. Now, what area are you? What area are you in now?
I'm in
What
Surat,
state? Mysore.
Gujarat. Yes.
Gujarat.
Hi, Lynn. Hi.
Hi, how are you? And I'm in a place where the spring flowers are beginning to bloom.
All right. You have spring. Very nice. We don't have spring. We have only summer. But no springs in India. Hello, Vijay. Bye. And
Hi, how are you?
Greg. Hi. Very nice. So, shall we move on to our hymn, to Savitar? Okay, I will start with mantra. Om Bang Me Manasi Pratishthitam Mano Me Vachi Pratishthitam Aviravirmaedi Vedasyama Anisthaha Shrutam Me Ma Prahasihi Anena Dhitena Horatran Samdadhami Ritam Vadashyami Satyam Vadashyami Tanmamavadhu Tadvaktaramavatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram Avatu Vaktaram Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hi, Julia. Okay. Right. Here we are. And we can move on. Hiranyapanih Savita Vicharshanih Ubhe Dyava Prithvi Antariyate Apamibam Badhate Veti Suryam Abhi Krishnena Rajasa Dhyam Renoti. Savitar with golden arms, active, enters the space in between heaven and earth. He removes all obstacles and compels the sun to appear. And by or through the dark space, he moves towards heaven. Such a mysterious Savitar, yes? He compels the sun to become visible, the disk of the sun. We already discussed this, that Savitar is the time before the disk of the sun, Surya, is visible. When the disk is visible, this Savitar is no more Savitar, he is Surya. And I was already mentioning that in Rigveda there is this distinction made between Surya and Savitri, Savitar. Surya is the self of all that is, and Savitar is the Lord of all that is. He is Vashi, the one who orders things, who commands, whereas Surya is the self, the very substance of all that is. And that is the distinction made between the two. So Surya represents this total manifestation of the divine in the Vedic sense. The sun is the divine in its manifestation, whereas Savitar is that the power, consciousness power of that Surya, which acts in this world and moves through dark space, always moving through dark space, returns to itself through dark space. That is his major function. So the key function of Savitar is stated here. Abhikrishnena rajasa dhyam renoti. He approaches or moves towards heaven by the dark space. Or he moves, spreads heaven by the dark space, also possible. It is this characteristic which makes Savitar the god of the sacrifice, Yajatah, for it is through and by the darkness that he arrives at heavenly light. Therefore, it was mentioned in the previous verse that there are three heavens of Savitar, of which one is the mortal heaven, and the two are properly his higher and illumined mind in Sri Aurobindo's terminology. And these two are still the extensions of consciousness of night. It is these two heavens of Savitar which actually make the connection with the supreme light from above of the intuitive and over mental levels. Thus he links the higher and the lower hemisphere over these two regions of the night, spreading them, as it were, Abhikrishnena Rajasan Dhyam Renoti. He approaches or moves towards heaven by the dark space. This is a very interesting description, because if we move ahead, we will see other descriptions of Savitar. He does many more things, but this one, within the night, through the night, he spreads the light, is his major faculty, which makes him the Lord of the sacrifice, or the Lord of all that moves or moves not. And the next verse, Hiranyahasto asurach sunithach sumrilikach suvavan yatu arbang apasedhan rakshasu yatu dhanan Asthad devav pratidosham grenanach. Again, pratidosham grenanach. Let us look into this. May the mighty God and the perfect guide, Sunitha, with his golden hands, Hiranyahastach, come straight to us, Yatu Arbak, bringing his own power for our growth and protection. Suavan, supremely gentle, Sumridikach, driving away all the Rakshasas and Yatudhanas, Apasedhan Rakshasach Yatudhanan, The god stood there, Devah Astad, who is invoked in the darkness, Pratidosham Grenanach. He is invoked in the darkness of our lower hemisphere, or towards darkness he is invoked, also a possible translation. Again here we have a confirmation of Savitar's relations with night. He is the god who is invoked in the night, Pratidosham Grananach, driving away all the Rakshasas and other demons, coming to us directly with his support, protection, increase, mercy, perfect guidance, and mighty power in his golden hands. He can always extend and save the soul in the darkness. His golden hands are very important. It's one of the major features of this Godhead. It is by these two golden hands that he actually fulfills all his duties, his work. In the other hymn, it will be described that with one hand he pulls in, or he introduces all the spirits, all the souls into this darkness, into the manifestation, and with the other hand he pulls them out of the darkness. So with one hand he involves them into manifestation, and with the other hand he evolves them out of the darkness. So this is a simultaneous movement of the Lord Savitar.
Vladimir,
Yeah.
question. So when they're saying darkness here, is that another expression for manifestation? Or, I mean, it's a little, I'm having a little fuzziness around this darkness thing, because if it means, we think of Surya and Savitar having to do with illumination and with the days and with visibility, and with darkness we think of unconsciousness and invisibility, inability to see. And I can see how that could be connected to in a bigger way, connected to manifestation, to this whole creation. But I guess I'm having trouble seeing how it compels the power into the darkness, unless we're talking about just the darkness meaning manifestation. But it doesn't mean darkness, darkness, because the sun is invisible in the dark. Light is invisible in the dark.
Right. Well, the rishis, they have the vision which is not individual vision, of the embodied being as we are here. They have the vision of the universal consciousness. They see the light and the darkness, the dawn and the night, as two sisters, twin sisters, who with different bodies do the same work, or with the same mind. They are different in shapes and forms, but have the same mind. They follow the same purpose. For the rishi, the Vedic rishi, the darkness, the night, and the light are two poles of the same dynamism of manifesting the divine. It's kind of That's why the night is invoked in the first verse of this hymn. And did you notice that actually every verse of this hymn has something to do with night? There was no verse without mentioning the night, and the Savitar moves through nights and invoked towards night and supports night, and all the time something to do with night. And even this verse, the last one, I think, has something to do also with the night. Let me see. And night is also very troublesome for us because it creates this absence of consciousness which he has to protect us from. Yeah, that's why he's invoked into the night. But without night, there would be no separation of light, and being not separated in different streams or different manifestations, we would not have the multitude creation. Yeah? We would have only oneness of the being, so the manifestation would not be possible. So night is actually a very functional and very powerful means to manifest the many in the world, to spell out all the infinite qualities of the supreme existence. There was today we are also in our meeting on hymns to the mystic fire. We had very similar vision of the fire, who is exactly representing this power of Savitar. Yeah? The fire and Savitar somehow are very closely related. Yeah? Very similar in this approach, that fire is present behind every movement of consciousness as the self. Later in the post-Vedic literature, we will have a new term coined for this purpose, Atman, self, which is behind every movement. As it is said in that hymn, that even in this stone there is fire for the sake of man to grow. So the consciousness of man has to grow, and the divine is hidden in the physical nature, in the vital nature, in the mental nature, for his growth in consciousness. So later we will have this Annamaya Purusha, Pranamaya Purusha, and Manomaya Purusha, which is already conceptual language, but in the Veda it is still that universal force which is behind, hiding the universal nature, behind the universal nature. So Savitar also is a very mysterious figure. If you look at it, I have here appendix, which I was trying to describe long ago. Of course it was, but still, if we read through, we could see something interesting. Let us finish with the last verse. Yete panthach savitaf purviyasach arenavach sukrita antarikshe tebhich no adya pathibhich subgebhich raksha chano adhicha brohideva. O Savitar, those paths of yours which are first and pure, purviyasach, are well made in the antariksha. Sukrita pur antarikshe. It is by those paths today which are easy to travel. Sugebhich. You protect us, O God. On those paths you protect us from dark forces. I'm adding it from dark forces. There is no such thing here. And again, the presence of Savitar in the darkness is mentioned. It is by the ancient paths, Purvya Panthaha, which are well made, Sukritaha, on which we can protect the travelers. He can protect the travelers to the other shore, travelers to the other shore, and intercede for them with the dark forces. Again, protect us on the paths means that there are gaps. There is darkness in between. There is absence of consciousness in between. That's why we have paths. We have some, movement to make within. If everything would be light, there would be no path, no movement, no traveling, nothing. No? There would be only light everywhere. But it's not the case in this manifestation. And the one divine being got separated by that darkness, by the gap in between. And we represent him in different forms, in different shapes. And we spoke today in the hymns to the mystic fire that all the names in Sanskrit are actually adjectives. They are descriptive of different faculties of one being, of one consciousness. And even the names of the gods are nothing but the adjectives, describing different functions of the one in this manifestation. We will come to the hymn where Agni is described as all the gods, one by one. Agni is Vishnu, Agni is Rudra, Agni is Mitra and Varuna, Ashwins, everyone, every single one is Agni. And that is no wonder, because all these are simply the descriptive symbols or descriptive functions of one divine reality. And these names are kind of pointing or precisely giving us a sense what this function is about. You take any name of the god and we will have an idea what is happening, what it is doing, and how it is being done. So to say, it's a very unusual way of describing reality, to say.
So Savitar is, in a sense, a creator of the darkness in order to be able to describe the totality of consciousness, but at the same time he needs to protect the traveler from veering off into the darkness and becoming lost there, so that no evolution is possible then.
Correct, absolutely. He protects means he fills them with his presence, these souls, these sparks of himself, these separated lights of himself, yes? He supports them while they are there, moving and growing in consciousness.
Does he do that for each and every soul, every single soul?
I think so. I think so. Well, there is no exclusive kind of soul or something mentioned here as against other souls. So there was never such mentioning in the Rig Veda. At least I don't know about it. Because you never know, I didn't read all the hymns so thoroughly that I would remember some. But it would really, I would remember something like that. And here is this appendix, which I wanted us to go through, maybe because there are some quotations from different hymns on Savitar. For example, here Savitar is thrice surrounding with his mightiness Antariksham, and it's three spaces and three luminous realms, Rochanas, of the Svar world. You see, he goes beyond heavens, triple heaven. He goes into the transcendental world, or Svar world, setting three heavens in motion and three earths setting in motion, protecting us as if surrounding by himself with his three laws. This is the supramental consciousness now, because if he embraces the Trirochanas, and that is the Svar world, then it is profound. Trihantariksham Savita Mahitvana Tri Rajansi Paribhu Tri Nirochana Tisro Divah Prathivih Tisra Invati Tribhir Vrataih Abhino Rakshatit Mana. It's profound.
What is this hymn, Vamadeva?
This is the hymn to Savitar. We will read it later. I'm just giving you the ideas beforehand, yes, that you anticipate what this great Godhead is about. Well, there is another Shivashva Atreya from the fifth Atri family, and Uta yasi savitastri nirochana, uta suryasya rashmibhih sam uchyasi, uta ratri mubhayataf pariyasa, uta mitro bhavasi deva dharma bhih. O Savitar, you move towards the three luminous realms of Svar, intuitive mind, overmind, and supermind, totally fit with the rays of the sun, the outpouring of the supramental light, enclosing night from both sides, from above and from below, and by your laws, which are supporting the manifestation throughout, you will thus become Mitra, the supreme consciousness of the Divine Mother Aditi, creating all that is in your all-measuring perception. Sri Aurobindo translates it in this way. And thou reachest, O Savitri, to the three luminous heavens, and thou art utterly expressed by the rays of the sun, and thou encompassest the night upon either side, and thou becomest by the law of thy actions the Lord of love, O God. This is a profound realization of this Godhead in manifestation. That is something we are aiming at. Maybe Rishis had this realization long before. So I will send you the file so you can read it for yourself. I don't want to read my own notes, but if you want to make some remarks or observations, we can go through the whole hymn again and see what it covers, if you like, or if you have some questions, you're most welcome. There are many unsolved issues here. What are these 8 earths, for example, or peaks of the earth? And these 3 regions of desert and 7 rivers, this occultism, ancient occultism. Many interesting things. I will open the whole hymn that we can read. Hiranya Stupan Girasa Devata Agni Mitravaruna Ratri Savita. Avayami Agnim Prathamam Swastaye. Avayami Mitravaruna Ihavase. Avayami Ratrim Jagato Niveshanim. Avayami Devam Savitaram Utaye. Akrishnena Rajasavartamano Niveshayan Amritam Martiyam Cha Hiranyayena Savita Rathena Adevo Yati Bhuvanani Pashyan Yati Devav Pravata Yati Udvata Yati Shubharabhyam Yajato Haribhyam Adevo Yati Savita Paravato Pavishvadurita Badhamana Abhivritam Krishanair Vishvarupam Hiranyashamyam Yajato Brihantam Asthad Ratham Savita Chitrabhanu Krishna Rajansi Tavishim Dadhana. Here again, this idea that he moves through the dark spaces, Krishna Rajansi Tavishim Dadhana, establishing the force of these dark spaces. So when the Savitar moves within the darkness, he actually reestablishes this darkness. He gives it right to be, as it were. The same as Agni. You remember in that hymn today, we spoke about Agni. He does the same. And I would never understand this if I would not read Sri Aurobindo Savitri. And Sri Aurobindo Savitri exactly uses this imagery. And he says that non-being's night could never have been saved if being had not plunged into the dark. So the night cannot be saved because night does not exist. It is not. Yeah? And it drags the being into the oblivion. So the being cannot be known because there is no consciousness of light. It cannot really know itself and cannot sustain itself unless there is the light or the being enters within it and sustains from within. And then it can be saved. It can be sustained. The night can sustain, and we can know about it. We can know about the night because there is the light within. Otherwise, how would we know about the night if it would be only night? There is no way to know about it. So this is the same idea here. Savitar sustains the darkness, the gap, and shapes all the forms of manifestation of the divine light separately, supporting all from within. So all these forms of light within the night grow by themselves, as if by themselves, but they are all supported by him. He is growing through them. This is the vision of the Veda. So night is very functional here. Right. Okay, so maybe stop. Oh, I was very fast today. Sorry. You can maybe say also something about it. It would be nice. Or what about something else? If you have some ideas, we can discuss.
Question?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Um, what is the need for the night in the first place?
To create many. Bahusyam, may I be many.
Why?
He wanted to be many.
Why?
Why he wanted? Right, it's a big question. Why he wanted to be many? There are several answers. Well, suppose he would not be one. Suppose he didn't want to be many, yeah? And then he would be alone, as he was always, and he is always himself.
So what?
So nothing. And it was like this, and it will be like this forever and ever, because it is beyond time. So since we are looking at him transcendental in time, and ask why did he want to have this time and space, and to spell all the details of his manifestation in this time and space? What is the reason for this? For him who is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, to cast his force and light of consciousness into manifestation, what's the point? To go through all this suffering and all this darkness and all the evolutionary tardy process of mortality. What's the point, really? It's a big question. And Sri Aurobindo answers it in a very interesting way. He says, if there is a point at all in all this, that there can be only one answer. If this omnipresent, omniscient reality really goes into it, into this trouble to express itself in forms in time and space, it could be only for one reason: for delight. There is no other reason.
Thank you.
Well, it's quite reasonable. What other reason we could find, really? But I can ask, where is delight in all this trouble? It looks like total trouble and no delight whatsoever.
Well, the delight is in getting out of it. But the question in my mind is why it takes so long if it's already there. That's I could see that it's entertaining for a while, but it gets really old after a while, and it seems like why it has to be such a big production when the truth and the reality of the whole thing is already it's completely there at all times and in every place.
Oh, that's an easy one, actually. Time is relative.
You might say time is relative, but the experience of getting your ass through it is really, it's not, it's agonizing.
For you.
for everyone. No, I dispute that. Otherwise, all these lifetimes and all this evolution and all that, I mean, it's a long process. Dirga Kala. Nairantaraya. Yeah.
So actually, you're asking the same question I'm asking, in a slightly different way.
But hold on, good. I'll add in this, okay? Vladimir said something. He said, it's nothing. And you see, without it, there is no thing.
That's right.
There is no thing.
Well, that's what Savitar brings to the mix, I guess.
Julia, don't you love the discussion?
Well, and is as agonizing and kind of, it's not all agonizing, evidently, because there is delight in it, and every time you take a step or solve a problem or see the whole picture, it's amazing how fulfilling that is.
What about the word love? Whatever that means to you. That is the reason behind it.
True. Yeah, well said.
And there is no out breath without an in breath. Or there's no, as soon as there's an in breath, light, there must be an out breath of dark. Look into the sky, look at space. How would you know, as Vlad was saying, how would you know that there's light? There's mostly darkness, it appears.
I've often wondered about why there has to be, why if the underlying reality is wholeness and oneness, what is the discussion about darkness in the first place? Does it have to absolutely be there? But apparently it has to be there for manifestation, for...
It's just a metaphor for manifestation.
Yes.
That's all it is. It's just a metaphor, just as the chair doesn't seem to know of its awareness, but it has form. That, in its essence, without Savitar's, let's call it illumination from within, it appears as darkness. How is it that the human being works? Is there not light? Is there not the day and then the night? How would you be without sleep?
The way that I am.
Well, yeah, but you long for it, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's, you see, this is light and darkness.
Yeah, Sri Aurobindo's here definition of night is also very beautiful. Night which holds the world and all its unrevealed potentialities in her obscure bosom. This is the night. All the potentialities are there. Everything will be revealed by the Savitar traveling through night. All these, bits and pieces will be ignited and will reveal the wonder of the divine in all possible relations, infinite relations. And actually, Sri Aurobindo disagrees with this pessimistic approach that we are here only to suffer. He says it's not at all true. We love life. We are so much more in love and in happy relations with life that even if we suffer, very great pain and disease, we still don't want to leave it. We are so much in love with life. He says it's not because we suffered before in our evolutionary past. We kind of developed a certain habit in the mind to criticize more than to love, what we have. But it's because of that habit of the mind that we kind of see suffering more than joy and happiness. It's our mind is a problem, rather. But our vital and our body knows that there is happiness in everything. And if you come in the morning out and see the flowers and the sun rise and the birds, you just wonder. It is so beautiful every time, and it's full of joy. So I also don't think that we suffer more than we enjoy life. No? Well, I don't know, that maybe it's not very convincing, because Buddhism was trying to find the way out of suffering, yes, from dukkha. The whole religion became so, suppressing life to get out of life in order not to suffer. But this kind of religion, I'm not sure whether it is totally true in a way. There was another religion before, much greater than Buddhism could offer. That was the Vedic religion of affirmation of life, in the spiritual sense.
Have you read Shankara's arguments in this regard?
Of course I did, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
No, but I have nothing much to say. Shankara has his own approach, which is post-Vedic, and of course he will be reaffirming spirit against nature in a way. Yeah, but Shankara is also very different in different commentaries and in different texts. Shankara, whom we know as the one, who says Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, is not the whole Shankara. There are also very life-affirming sonnets of his, to the divine.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I was really referring to, I mean, essentially demolishes this. I mean, to your point about, that kind of a narrow view pretty much demolishes it. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yes.
I was going to note the interesting comparison of these concepts of light and dark to the yin and yang of Taoism, where they are considered one and the same part of the same being, as opposed to something that is separate.
Correct. And they are in the same sign, and they are kind of interwoven, and one does not exist without the other. They both exist in one. The same here, these twin sisters, and if we read the hymns to the dawn and the night, they are always mentioned together. They kind of move in the same space, and the dawn or the night vacates the space for the dawn, and the dawn is preparing the space for the night. And they are, and Sri Aurobindo describes it so beautifully. It's actually our ups and downs, or our, our openings or realizations and assimilations of those realizations in our, so to say, lower consciousness, lower members, which need this assimilation. They need to. So that light or that realization has to sink deeply into our inconscient in order to change it. And slowly the night is changing. It becomes starry night where you can rest, and not the night where you can disappear and die. We already mentioned this, that in the Rig Veda there are two nights. One is the deeper night, the more scary one, and there is night which is closer to us, in which we can rest and assimilate light. Night with the stars and the moon.
So, talking of twins, and this is something we brought up before, and you had something to say about it, but again, you have Alakshmi and Lakshmi.
Well, and there will be always these oppositions, yes, in the philosophical thinking, yes, Lakshmi and Alakshmi. But that is, the development of the tantric views. But still, it comes from the Veda. All knowledge comes from the Veda, definitely. Even Mitra and Varuna will be viewed differently as light and night later. Varuna becomes the guardian of night, and Mitra is of light. There would be always this kind of need in day and night. And it's very interesting that our cosmos physically also is shaped. Our Earth is shaped in such a way that it rotates around the sun and around itself and creates this, day and night. If you think of it, it's very unusual, Or if you would be a creator, how would you make it? Really?
And
Well,
in fact, from the latest science of discovery of planets, it is very unusual.
yeah. We need this dynamism for some reason. Imagine that it would be uh, like moon, which is always, with one facing one way towards the sun, or as Mercury, for example. Mercury is facing all the time the sun, yes, with one side, and the other side is totally cold, and the other side is totally hot or something. So the life is impossible on such a planet.
The sign of life is movement.
Mm.
So just the idea of the in-breath and the out-breath is the same as the light and the dark. In fact, the in-breath and the out-breath is kind of an expression of the spin.
Mm. Yeah, that's why we have breathing in and out. That's what creates life. The dynamic truth, rhythm, about which they speak all the time. This rhythm, this, this pulsation, this vibration, this wave, up and down, light and night. They created this dynamism of movement, without which manifestation becomes impossible, becomes static. So Rigveda found, Vedic rishis found their way to describe these very difficult issues in a poetic and most beautiful way. And most probably it goes even deeper. It describes a real world, yeah? Not only psychologically, but also physically. Because physical phenomenon, the physical universe is nothing but the projection of that inner spirit which is behind it, which manifests through these forms or symbols. And these symbols are found in this particular form because they embody those ideas, yes, of the spirit. Well, it's a really mind-boggling when you think about this infinite universe with many galaxies, with many planets, with billions of stars, countless numbers of stars. It's incredible. Yeah.
I wanted to share an article I just read that pointed out how odd it is that we have night at all, because so much light exists in the universe. It ought to fill up the sky, but it doesn't.
Mm.
Which is one of those paradoxes which I would think would be dear to Savitar.
Mm. Right. Well, it's all relative. Of course, if we would be more sensitive, if we would have a higher sensitivity in our eyes, we would see that there is no night. There is a full light. But because of the sun, which is, making us a little less sensitive towards light, we have night. Of course, everything is relative from the physical point of view, but psychologically, it's a marvelous thing. Night is not too cold because it is moving fast enough, so the temperature still is there, held from the sun, and everything is well arranged, perfectly arranged. Anyhow, when I think from the point of view of arrangement, it's really a marvelous creation. And we, who we are actually in these physical bodies, how could we develop those physical bodies to the extent that they become, faithful instruments of the Spirit? They do everything what we want them to do. We can think, speak, see, hear, touch, live, grow, be born. Incredible, amazing. And everything is under the stars and under the sun. Right. Okay, the next time we will take another hymn to Savitar. Next one. This was Hiranya Stupan Girasa. He has only one hymn to Savitar, this one, the first. But next time we will take from, I think, from Kutsan Girasa.
So what do we know about Hiranya Stupa? We know he's an Angirasa, but anything else? Do we know him at all?
Yeah, we don't know much about him, but there are few of his hymns. We can look into what he wrote, actually, what his hymns are. They're quite beautiful. Wait a minute, I will find them. Rigveda. I don't have Rigveda here. Wait a minute. I don't have Rigveda on this computer, sorry. How come? That's impossible that I don't have it. No, because it's a new computer. Right. But I will. We can see next time. We will go through his hymns. So you can open Rigveda and see for yourself. By the way, what hymns he has. Hymn to Agni, hymn to Savitar, and some other hymns. I don't remember which. To Indra. Usually Agni, Indra, and Savitar. These are great godheads. All right, so we stop here for today and continue next time. I will then close with mantra. Om Vang me manasi pratisthita mano me vachi pratishthitam aviravir maedhi vedasyama ani stha shrutam me ma prahasihi anena dhitena horatran samdadhami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmamavatu tadvaktaramavatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, thank you and see you then next time.
Thank you, Vlad.
Thank you, Vladimir.
Right?
This was extraordinary. Thank you so much.
Really, really good.
Very happy.